ดินลาวถือเขาลานลุกล้ำเหยียบย่ำอาทิตย์ปะไตเฮาคนลาวอย่ามัวเสยดูได้จงห่วงใจสามัคคีดับศัตรูให้มวยเป็นปุ๋ยผงเต่าคงคืนทรณีเฮายอมตายดังสายซากสาตีสีบยอมพีเพื่อลาว
Welcome back. This is broadcast number 4. For first-time listeners, I would like to say hello, welcome, and thank you very much for tuning in. Awareness is knowledge, and knowledge is power. For those who have been avidly listening, I would like to thank you as well, and also offer a very warm welcome back. After today's broadcast, I will be providing feedback to viewer comments, so stay tuned for that. Let's see what's currently going on in the country of Laos. Lao government contracts firm that is currently under investigation. FreeLaoRadio04 Energy AG, a Swiss subsidiary of Finnish consulting company FreeLaoRadio, had received a contract from the Lao government 2 days after breaking ground for the Siberi Dam. FreeLaoRadio's contract will empower the firm in, quote, reviewing the design and supervising the construction of the project, unquote, for the controversial Siberi Dam. The project will be implemented over an 8-year term. In 2011, FreeLaoRadio acted as a technical consultant to the Lao government and was responsible for preparing an assessment of the Siberi Dam design based on the Mekong River Commission's recommendation. The Mekong River Commission, or MRC, is an intergovernmental body that includes Cambodia, Laos, Thailand, and Vietnam that manages the development along the Mekong River. FreeLaoRadio had submitted a final report in August stating that the multi-billion US dollar project is found to be, quote, principally in compliance, unquote, with the MRC's requirements. Suggestions were attached and included, quote, several specific recommendations to improve the sustainability of the scheme, unquote. However, international environmental groups believe this study to be flawed. An earlier study conducted by expert group had recommended a 10-year moratorium on all mainstream Mekong dams. The recommendation is based on the minimum amount of time necessary to further ascertain the severity of their potentially catastrophic socio-economic and environmental impacts. The government of Finland funded a 2010 scientific study led by the MRC and has found that the Siberi Dam, as well as 10 other planned dams, would dramatically impact fisheries, agriculture, and would affect up to 40 million people. In a statement delivered after contract reception, Ari Asikainen, president of FreeLaoRadio's Energy Business Group, comments on its involvement with the Siberi Dam project. Quote, through this assignment, FreeLaoRadio is committed to monitor the construction of the hydropower plant and its compliance with the MRC guidelines, including the proposed technical design improvements and additional studies. I believe by first reviewing the project's technical design and now overseeing the project implementation, we can actively and positively contribute in careful implementation of the first hydropower project in the lower Mekong River, unquote. FreeLaoRadio Energy AG, technical consultant to the Siberi Dam project, is currently under investigation for charges that it may have violated Finland's, quote, responsible business standards, unquote, through its involvement with the project. The investigation was launched after complaints were filed by a group of 15 non-governmental organizations from 7 different countries in June. Some complaints include, number 1, failure to contact the MRC before establishing that the Lao government was in fact adhering to the 1995 agreement requiring all MRC bodies to seek an agreement before deciding to build any dams on the river. Number 2, providing consultation services to the Lao government while the company was aware that the MRC bodies were not in agreement over the dam. This violated guidelines enacted by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. The guidelines' recommendations on sustainable development, environmental practices, and human rights were acted to in contrary. Lastly, the company had undermined its own Finnish government's developmental policies and targets, contributing to a waste in public funding. Currently, FreeLaoRadio denies all accusations. In a statement released October 16 and signed by Finland's Minister of Labor, Lauri Ihalainen, has determined that the complaints against Pori is, quote, material and substantiated, unquote, continuing with, quote, requires further consideration and it will be examined, unquote. Okay, let's basically sum it all up. Long story short, currently the Lao government has contracted a firm that is under investigation from its own country. There has to be something obviously wrong or something going on for this to be happening. I hope to shed some light on why these projects are so important to the Lao government and why they cannot keep their word to others and especially themselves. Remember, awareness is knowledge and knowledge is power. Let's move on to viewer feedback. Alright, welcome to the viewer feedback section of our broadcast. Last broadcast, that's going to be broadcast number 3. User Peng4 comments with, don't blame other races or other nations for the loss of our country to other nation. Just admit it. We Laos people just cannot get along with each other. We do not have a true leader. First and foremost, I do not blame other races or other nations for the loss of our country. However, I do believe that our country is currently occupied by a foreign government. Note the word government, not a race or a nation. Government can yield from any place, but the current government in power is foreign to Laos. And when I say foreign being that it was not created by the Lao people for the Lao people. Secondly, I'm going to have to agree with you when you say that we can't get along with each other. It's because we share many different views, some of which can be beneficial to the country of Laos, and some, not so much. However, many people are not willing to sit down and talk about these things to express their ideas. A lot of people keep it to themselves. Well, the Lao people are proud people. Perhaps that's why we may not be able to get along with each other. But we all do have something in common, and that's a voice. But how are you going to use that voice if you can't even speak? And how can you be proud when you can't speak for yourself? Without a voice, you are powerless. And that's what the Laos people needs, a voice. That's just my opinion, by the way. Alright, that concludes broadcast number 4. Tune in next time where we could be potentially switching gears altogether and moving on to some other type of subjects. But thank you for listening, thank you for tuning in. As always, have an outstanding day.